guys. I'm Marissa, Festival Director of Moogfest. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for coming. We're very excited to be in Durham and very excited to be in the American Underground. And thank you to the AU guys for kind of finally giving us a chance to give you guys some insight into what we're doing and why we're in that room until 11 o'clock every night, the only people left standing in the building. So we're going to start by showing you a video, which is just a little wrap-up from the 2014 Festival in Nashville. It's only a couple minutes, so we'll play this, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about what the festival is going to look like in Durham.
Moogfest established itself as the most important community event in the region. Building on a tradition of landmark electronic music performances, Moogfest successfully brought together futures thinkers, inventors, entrepreneurs, designers, engineers, artists, scientists, musicians, and Moog devotees to participate in a conversation that celebrated new technology and creative expression.
Please welcome on stage David X. Cohen.
It is very exciting to be here at Moogfest and see an entirely new kind of nerds.
I just think it's important to create the world that you want to see. That's what I've always tried to do as a woman, as an android, as an artist.
Anytime I see something that's amazing, I always go, wow, this is incredible. Hey, what if it did this? So we're just in a world now of people just creating anything they can think of, and it's just going to continue.
The future of the arts and media, entertainment, music will be so far beyond our understanding that it's silly for me to tell you what it is.
We are set to undergo a number of changes that will take us from what is human beings to the so-called post-human.
I think we will all feel that we need to become technology in the near future. I feel that we've been using technology and now people will be wearing technology a lot. But I think the ultimate feeling and challenge is that we become technology.
Moogfest is looking to the future, and the success of Moogfest has proven that Bob Moog's legacy will live on in a new festival format for performance and artistic collaboration, where technology inspires both innovation and economic development.
So this is just a couple of the press quotes from last year, but as you can see, I mean, it obviously makes sense for Moogfest to be in Durham. Some of the themes that you heard kind of running through the film, technology, innovation, creativity, I think in general, I believe you can kind of cue the video down. So yeah, so Moogfest in Durham, you know, Moogfest this is our kind of boilerplate language. You may have seen this on the website, but you know, essentially the synthesis of music, art, and technology. You know, during the day, it's more of a conference style format with workshops, installations, conversations, film screenings, and then at night there are over 100 musical performances from pioneers in electronic music alongside pop and avant-garde experimentalists of today. That's basically our way of saying, you know, everything kind of has an underlying tone of electronic music, but it's pretty wide-ranging in terms of electronic music. It's not just techno. Bob Moog, inventor and pioneer of the synthesizer. The festival is basically in honor of Bob's legacy. You know, Bob was an engineer primarily and worked very closely with artists to create tools that they could use for creative expression. And that's really kind of the underlying reason why we're doing Moogfest, is to explore and celebrate all of the tools that are being used for creativity. So, during the day that manifests itself through, synth building workshops, sonifying plants, learning how to code, learning how to create audiovisual experiences through coding. And then at night, it's obviously the manifestation of that is the music. Again, some of these press quotes. This bottom one is one that just came out in a spring preview in the New York Times 2 weekends ago, which kind of gave a great shout out to Durham, called it a sci-fi dance party with a PhD in STEM subjects, a utopia of geekdom. So obviously this is not your regular music festival. It's just a little bit different. We're very much positioning the festival being rooted in Durham. Part of all of our messaging going out to national and regional media is really about why this festival is in Durham. I moved here from Los Angeles, but I went to Carolina, graduated a long time ago, and it's just really exciting to see what's happening in Durham. I mean, you can kind of feel the energy and the buzz when you're somewhere like American Underground, but just looking at what's happening across the city, like it or not, with the construction, the innovation, so many people moving here, so many new companies, so many new exits. I mean, it's really, really, really exciting, and I think, Moogfest is aiming to be kind of like the cultural sister to all of this great activity. We're really, working to put a spotlight on Durham. The event is here to stay. It's an annual event. We'll be here every year. This is just a little bit about, the kind of stats. So it's 4 days, 3 nights, May 19th through 22nd. 250 plus performing artists. So that's all of the daytime participants with the evening musical performances. And we're having over, 300 volunteers, 100 staff, 15 locations. It's all in a walkable mile radius of downtown. So this is just a snapshot of the footprint. So kind of as you can see, it starts down here at the bottom by Diamond View Park, American Tobacco Campus, and then goes all the way down towards Gear Street. Rigsby's gonna be poppin'. It's gonna be closed off during the duration of the festival from West Corporation to Gear. We're building a 2,000 person venue in the parking lot next to Motorco, which is gonna be the main stage, which is going to be really exciting. That's where Blood Orange, Grimes, Jizza, Mike Snow, they're all performing over there. You see some interesting things here. So like First Presbyterian Church on Saturday, we're using that venue for a lot of solo acoustic performances. So Juliana Barwick, Moses Sumney, Daniel Bachman, Gweno, they're going to all be performing in the church. It's going to be really, really, really special. 21C is the hub of our workshops, and in their main ballroom, we're hosting all of our durational performances, which are 4-hour-long performances by one artist, and we have an audiovisual crew who are coming in to create an immersive installation of videos that will be matched along with these performances. CCB Plaza, we're erecting like a giant installation in there of like LED light towers. It's a project that we're doing with RTP. There's going to be a geodesic dome on the lawn of Diamond View Park with a musical playground inside. Durham Arts Council, we're going to have the rarest and kind of most complete collection of Don Buchla's original synthesizers. There's a ton of programming. I'll kind of keep going through, but these are just some of the highlights. On the music side, Gary Newman's doing 3 nights across 3 venues. Laurie Anderson, Jizza's doing 2 nights, 1 old school hip hop set in Motorco, and then a performance of the full band and his new album on the main stage. He's also doing a conversation with Mark Anthony Neal, who's an African American Studies professor from Duke, talking about all things like hip hop. That should be really great. And then Grimes. Also, we've got Odessa, Mike Snow, Reggie Watts, Blood Orange. Blood Orange's first time in North Carolina. Reggie Watts is performing for free at the American Tobacco Campus during a day that is basically a 5-hour-long electronic music extravaganza with DJ Lance Rock of Yo Gabba Gabba, Bootsy Collins, Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo, Egyptian Lover. It's like a whole day of electronic music for kids and families, and then topped off by a free Reggie Watts performance. And then these are just some of the highlights by day. IDEO is doing workshops and a big art installation. Ryan Germick, he's the guy that does Google Doodle. So all the little drawings every day on Google, that's his baby. He's hosting a series of talk shows with just various different people. Mark Anthony Neal again, Kyle McDonald. This is a project that we're doing with McKinney. He's creating an installation that creates visualizations based on data that's leaked from cell phones. That'll be posted up in the lobby of Carolina Theater. That's just one of the many kind of trippy data things that we're doing that manifests itself in an art installation. And then just kind of generally, we have various themes that are running through Moogfest. So Future of Creativity is kind of like the halo theme of what we're exploring. Our keynotes, Martine Rothblatt, we call her a transgender pharma tycoon, but she basically started Sirius Satellite Radio, has a robot version of her wife, is very renowned in kind of like the transhumanist movement. She's doing projects right now with like mind mapping and satellite technology. She's a very inspirational woman. Jaron Lanier, founder of virtual reality, kind of figurehead for that. And let's see, Afrofuturism, art and artificial intelligence, hacking sound systems. We have a big part of that's a very broad category, but part of that is we're doing a big reggae sound system party at Bull McCabe's, which is accompanied by a talk with Mad Professor, this guy David Katz, who's like world-renowned reggae journalist, and they're going to be talking about the history of the dub sound system, and then we're going to have a big party at Bull McCabe's with the reggae sound system and Blazer sound system from New York and Mad Professor. It's going to be great. And then instrument innovators, Todd Mockover runs MIT Hyper Instruments department, and they're kind of like the leading force in terms of like smart instruments that respond to emotion and empathy and can play along with humans. Radio, techno-shamanism should be a really fun one. As you can tell, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you guys the snapshot, and these are just some of our programming partners that we have this year. We've made some really great partnerships with Duke, also with NC State. We're really looking in general with Moogfest to be doing stuff throughout the year. Some of you guys might have heard about our Dial Tone series that we did at the Shed. It was basically kid synthesizer building workshop during the day, adult synthesizer building workshop at night with a performance and an after party. So, once we get through this beast of an event that is Moogfest, we're going to start putting together, which you've already sort of started doing, but like a calendar of events throughout the year. Next Wednesday, we're announcing all of the daytime sessions. So all of the descriptions and titles of everything that's happening during the day. And then beginning of April is when we'll release the full schedule kind of by day. Second week in April is when you can actually log onto the website and build your own schedule. So, as you can see, there's so much to take in. And I think this little chat probably just gave you a teeny tiny little snapshot of what we're doing, but we're there, right there. Feel free to stop by anytime. Don't hold it against us if we take a couple of seconds to look up from our computers. But yeah, as far as American Underground, we've got a lot of stuff that we're planning with Molly and Adam about how you guys can kind of access the festival just from being tenants and kind of members here. Some special events, some special programming, and also some exciting pop-up ticket discounts. We didn't want to make today about selling tickets, but we will have some special discounts for 80 members, so kind of stay tuned on that. That's all I have to say.
Right? You're like, wow, trying to wrap your head around all that, and that's a small portion of it. So guys, my name is Casey Skywalker. Some of you in the room know me, a lot of you do not. I run a company here called Casey's Company. I know, unique, innovative. But for 8 years prior to that, I was the president and CEO of the Greater Durham Chamber of Commerce. And so as part of that role, I was engaged with helping bring Moogfest to Durham. So my goal here today is to kind of talk to you why Durham. Why Moogfest ended up in Durham, why Durham was actively engaged in recruiting Moogfest to Durham. So, and I think it's really important for all of you to understand that, because there's not, this While in Durham we believe very strongly in collisions, these collisions take place and great things come about as a result of them. We're very intentional about creating the opportunities for those collisions. And Moogfest coming to Durham was really a great example. If I had to probably sum up what the arrangement is between Durham and Moogfest, I would say an arranged marriage. An arranged marriage. We both had needs we were looking for. We found each other, and we agreed that it made a lot of sense for us to get married. And by the way, along the way, we fell in love with each other. So let me tell you the story of how Durham got Moogfest, why Moogfest selected Durham, and what we think it means for all of you. So I'm going to just go back a little bit to kind of give you some history. Back in 2008, 2009, we were getting very, very intentional at the Durham Chamber about understanding the entrepreneurial ecosystem that was starting to sprout up in Durham. This was pre-American Underground, and there's this guy that we hired at the Chamber to help us figure out that ecosystem. His name was Adam Klein, all right? We brought Adam in. He was working for the Chapel Hill Chamber of Commerce. Had some conversations with him about becoming our Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Chamber to really help us play in this space and better understand it. As the Economic Development Organization for Durham County, it was our job to play in this space, figure it out. Now, externally, his title was Director of Strategic Initiatives. Internally, he got the nickname of being our Director of Crazy Ass Shit. Because that's what Adam did. Along with a lot of partners in Durham, they were responsible for the Durham Startup Stampede that we first began a lot of our entrepreneurial work in. He also was responsible, along with, again, a lot of other people, including Matthew Coppage from DDI, with the Smallness contest that we did. Both of those really were our engagement in playing in the entrepreneurial space in a way that really wasn't so much about, for us, economic development as it was about creating a culture of economic development, the marketing of that going on here in Durham so other people would come and join and get engaged in what it is that we were doing. Off from there goes American Underground starts to take place. We start to get a lot of companies coming in, and a lot of people start asking us, what's next? What's next? What are you going to do next after the great success from the Stampede, after the great success from the Smallness? One day, a bunch of people sitting around a bar, as we normally do in Durham, started having a conversation about what we think we needed was to create a festival in Durham, something that would allow us to really put forward all of the great things going on in the technology arena. I hate to use the analogy of South by Southwest, but what was our version, what was Durham's version of South by Southwest? By the way, those people sitting around the table were Adam Klein, Chris Hively from the Startup Factory, Joan Seifert Rose from CED. That group grew a little bit bigger into Taylor Mingus from Shoebox, into Dave also Brooks, I think a lot of you know as well. I'm going to leave a bunch of people out, but it was just really a group of people sitting around, what do we want to do? So we created a festival called Paradoxes. Some of you remember Paradoxes, some of you may not. We ran Paradoxes in 2013 and in 2014. Paradoxes, first year we did was our version kind of a mini kind of Moogfest. It was a lot of day programming around topics and then a party at night. We ran it the first year, got about 800 people or so that attended. Ran it a second year, had about 2,000, 3,000 people that attended over 3 days. A bunch of us that came together, Chris Hively and myself, decided that this was really worthy of our investment, so the Chamber and Triangle Startup Factory put some serious money on the table to say, okay, we're going to commit to doing this for 5 years. We're going to see where it goes, and if it really helps our ability to create this culture of cool, fun, vibe conversations going on in Durham and a whole new set of collisions, we'll continue it. If not, it was worth the try, we gave it a shot, no big deal, right? So during, after 2013 first festival, we're planning the 2014 second festival. And we're sitting around trying to figure out what it is we're doing. Now I'm going to jump over to this slide and tell you, at the same time we were doing that, Moogfest you're going to hear a minute from Emmy Parker from Moog Music. She's going to tell you probably her version of how all this took place. But Emmy was working along with the staff at Moog Music to really take Moogfest, which was going on in Asheville, to a new level. They really wanted to start to blow out the technology side. They had obviously were experts on the music side, were really good on technology and how technology and music collided, and wanted to really start to do a bigger technology piece of the portion of Moogfest to really start blowing that piece out. So Emmy got up with the North Carolina Technology Association and started talking to them about how we can engage technology companies more. They told her she had to go to Durham and sit down and talk with some companies in Durham and see whether or not those companies would be willing to get interested in Moog music. One of those conversations was with Taylor Mingus at Shoebox. And Taylor said, whoa, wait a minute. You need to hear about Paradoxus and what it is that we're doing at Paradoxus. And he called a bunch of us and said, come meet with Emmy. We all sat around a table with Emmy. We heard about Moogfest, that she heard about Paradoxus, and we decided right then and there that there was a partnership. We didn't know what it was, but we knew that there was opportunities for a partnership. Both of us were knee-deep at that point in 2013 planning for 2014, so we decided that the timing wasn't right to do something in 2014, but when our two festivals were over, hers in April, ours in May, were over, that we would actually come together and have a conversation about how we could put something together. Fast forward, it's after May, a bunch of us, 4 or 5 of us, cram into my car, drive over to Asheville to meet with Emmy and Mike Adams, the CEO of Moog Music, to talk about how we might partner together. Now the whole way over in the car, we're having conversations about, this is really cool. Let's tell them that we'll be the technology piece of Moogfest, if they come over and be the music piece of Paradoxus. That was our goal going into the whole conversation. We went, met with them day long in their conference room at Moog Music in Asheville to really, from our perspective, pound out a partnership. Suffice it to say, at the end of the day, we weren't able to quite get our arms around the partnership that we wanted. And somewhere during the course of the day, the conversation turned to, well, why don't we just pick Moogfest up and move it to Durham? Now, us Durham people around the table are trying to be, that sounds good. Yeah, we might be able to help with that. So that really started the conversation around what I referred to as the arranged marriage. It took us about a year really to put all that together. And the main reason we were able to put all that together is we brought some people around the table, Capital Broadcasting, American Underground, to say, does this make sense for us as a very important piece of our intentionality around building the technology vibe in Durham, the technology culture in Durham. And through those conversations, we decided, yes, it really did. It made a lot of sense. It could be the next big thing we brought here to help, not just as a music festival. It was about how do we create an opportunity for our technology companies to be engaged in something that's next iteration. Be around conversations about the next big something, to be engaged in those conversations, and bring other people into the community that are that way. I don't know if we talked a lot about the demographics of the ticket holders. The demographic of the ticket holders that come to Moogfest are you. They are 18 to 40-year-olds who are heavily engaged in technology and music. And they want to be part of an immersive experience around technology and music. And so we thought it was a perfect match for us to really build the talent pool. It was a perfect match for us to really create the next big thing. And most importantly, I would also say to you that it is also we viewed as our opportunity here in Durham to let the world know about you. So in Moogfest in 2014, 220 credentialed media from around the world, 1.5 billion impressions of Moogfest and of Asheville. And that's what we wanted for Durham. That's what we wanted for you all here as part of that ecosystem. We really wanted to have the opportunity for you to experience that, be part of that, and for the rest of the world to discover Durham and the rest of the world to discover you and what all we had going on here in Durham. So I tell you that story just to let you know that it wasn't, there was a lot of intentionality around why we did this. It was part of a bigger economic development strategy for Durham. Really importantly, that it was something that came about as a result of some really intentional acts by your peers and people in this community that were engaged in it. And we think it's going to be awesome, and we really are looking forward to it really being something that Durham can be proud of and all of you can be proud of. Okay? That's it for me. Now, lady, you really want to hear let me introduce you to Emmy Parker with Moog Music.
Thanks, Casey. Hi, everybody. Hi. How's the pizza? Pretty good. My name is Emmy. How many of you have heard of Pablo? No. Oh my God. So many of you. How many of you have played a Moog synthesizer? 2 of you? Okay, for the rest of you, today is your day. Me, along with like 8 other folks from Moog, drove out here today basically because we wanted to just get a chance to talk to you folks. What Casey said is true. A whole bunch of people from Durham got in a car and drove up into the mountains in Asheville after attending Moogfest 2014. And they were talking to us about some kind of partnership, but at a certain point, they just put on the table this idea about Moogfest leaving Asheville and coming to Durham. And we were a little surprised, because at that point, we didn't really know anything about Durham. And then we came to Durham and we visited, and we started here at the American Underground, and everyone from Moog was completely blown away. And the reason why we were so shocked when we came into this building is because it reminded us of the energy that we have in the Moog factory. Bob Moog, who's the guy who started Moog Music, he passed away in 2005. But Bob's big thing, what he was focused on in life was how to use technology to create new tools, instruments for artists that allowed them to realize their dreams. And obviously these dreams are mostly around music. And we have a building of people that's totally focused to this day on how to do just that. How to take advanced technology and also some not so advanced technology of the last century, and create tools that artists use to basically define what the sound of the future is. And while you guys aren't all working in music, it seemed to us that you were pretty passionate about the same thing, which is using technology to create tools for communities that allow them to design their future. And so I think we spent a day with Casey and Adam Klein and Chris Hively, and we just walked around the city. And we visited the American Tobacco campus, we obviously visited here, we went to the Durham Bulls Stadium, DPAC, we went to Motorco, I went to Coco Cinnamon like 8 times, Toro, we went just like a lot of places, and we totally fell in love with what you guys have going on here. The other important thing, because it wasn't just about us loving Durham, what you guys have achieved in this city is mind-blowing. We live in Asheville. There are like 70,000 people in Asheville. We are in a valley in the oldest mountain range in the world. We're a little isolated. There's diversity in Asheville, sort of. We're getting fiber today at Moog. Our internet is down because of that. We're just a little, let's call it we're like the slow food movement for technology in Asheville. It's just, it's a little sluggish, a little behind. It's not the case in the Moog factory, but our community, it's really all about beer and bicycles and inner tubing down the river in Asheville. It's beautiful there. It's gorgeous. But when you bring in folks from MIT and Google and IDEO and Georgia Tech to Asheville, they enjoy the beer, they enjoy the mountains, but there isn't really much else for them to feed off of. And when you bring in, it's actually 231 credentialed media to Asheville, and we're talking about the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Fast Company, Vice, Rolling Stone, Pitchfork, The Guardian, NPR, BBC, who am I forgetting, Complex Magazine, pretty much all major media, whether you're talking about culture or business or tech, or you're talking about design, Monocle was there, or Wired was there. Pretty much all major media descended on our tiny little town for this festival. And that was really awesome for Asheville. The only thing is that Asheville has absolutely no idea how to leverage that type of opportunity. A lot of the stories that were written about Moogfest in 2014 featured the pop-up cape store that some kids opened during Moogfest, and that's a great story. But imagine if they were telling stories about the people in the community, and that did not have a cape store, and they would have done that if there were more dynamic and interesting and relevant stories for them to tell. And that's okay that Asheville is like that. We love living there. It's a slow kind of way of life, and our quality of life is super high. But it's not a great fit for Moogfest because they really can't take advantage of what Moogfest brings into that community. So when we came to Durham, we were just like, holy crap, this is the town in North Carolina that literally embodies everything, not just that Moogfest is about, but what Moog music is about. And you guys are so perfectly positioned to be able to leverage what Moogfest can bring to this town. Because basically what Marissa was describing to you is that they've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy on programming, which is crammed with some of the smartest, most innovative futurists in the world who will basically descend on this little town. Which is really awesome, because what Moog gets out of it is that our designers and our engineers get to spend 3 days interfacing with their heroes, essentially. These are the people, if we wanted to hang out with folks for 3 days, these are the people that we would choose. And during the day, it's totally focused on the future of thought and design and technology. And for us, what we get out of it specifically is the conversations are all about how technology is going to be used to create tools. There's only so much that we can come up with at Moog. We need to be able to interface with our peers from around the world so that we can start to discover what's next for us. And the same thing is true with you guys, because what happens is you have 500 of these folks in a very small downtown area, and everywhere you go, there are people to have amazing conversations with. And then on top of that, you bring in the media from around the world, and they start telling stories about all of the conversations that they're overhearing here. It is our intention that the media that comes here knows about you guys and knows about what you're doing, and that the stories they tell are all about you. It was really important to us that Moogfest stay in North Carolina. It became very clear to us that Moogfest could not thrive in Asheville. The biggest surprise to us was coming here, falling in love with this town, and realizing that Moogfest could move 3 hours away and still be able to tell a story to the world, because there's a much larger story that we're trying to tell, which is about the people in North Carolina. And the ideas that we have and the things that we make, and the end of that story is that the things that are made in North Carolina will help to change the world. So what better place to kind of start telling that story than with you guys at American Underground. You have your fellow business building residents, Taylor Mingos, to blame for all of this. The Shoebox folks basically started this conversation in Durham, brought it to Asheville, and now here we are. To us, we want you guys to come to Moogfest. We want you guys to participate. The festival gets better when the local folks take part in it. I mean, you guys are pretty much the most interesting part of the story. So if you don't have tickets, you should get tickets. I believe that we are also going to do a little bit of trivia. Are there going to be tickets given out for trivia? Yes. Okay, who wants to do some trivia for tickets? Only like 6 of you? What? trivia. All right, let me see the trivia questions. All right. What year did Bob Moog move to North Carolina? Closest guess of the first three people that raised their hands wins. 1982.
1969.
1969.
1976.
Ooh. Winner, gray sweatshirt. The answer is 1978. What do we have for prizes, Marissa?
Yeah.
What?
You can come see me.
Ah.
And I will look you up.
You guys know that the Moogfest office is right there. So Rachel is the head of festival logistics. So if you ever need anything or have any questions, just go right to that office, find Rachel. She'll answer them all for you.
The door might be locked.
No, we have an open door policy. Okay, what is your name?
Byron.
Byron?
I'll be seeing you, Byron.
Okay, second question. What is the oldest electronic musical instrument? Oh, okay. I'll give you a hint. It's like 1 foot away from you, right now. What is that called? Google it. Okay, blue t-shirt.
Theremin?
Theremin. What is your name?
Stephanie?
Steffi? Steffi.
Sure, I'll go with that. Steph is fine.
Okay. Okay, I have to add one. Who is the most famous person in Durham that owns a theremin?
Tom Brown.
Nope. That's a good guess. That's a good guess, though. Very good. You're never going to guess this. But tell me, throw it out. Come on.
Mayor Bell.
Nope.
Oh,
Sam Bean.
Coach K.
Sam Bean.
Nope.
He does, though.
Come on. Think American Underground.
Michael Goodman.
the problem is he's not famous. That's the issue. I think I know the answer to this question.
Jim Goodman. Jim Goodman owns his own.
It's not, no, Jim Goodman doesn't just own a theremin. When Jim Goodman was in high school, he built his own theremin. And when I first met Jim Goodman,
Okay, that's honest truth.
I'll be honest with you, when I first met Jim Goodman, I was kind of like, what is this guy gonna know about like electronic music? And he strolled in there and he was like, I designed my own theremin, I built my own theremin, and yeah, that was pretty cool. No one got that. I get tickets then, I got it. What is the first electronic musical instrument Bob Moog built? You need to get one of these, right? I was going to give you another hint. Gray t-shirt. I can give you a hint. You need a hint or you know it?
Sure.
You'll take a hint. Stephanie just said it. What is your name, Stephanie's friend?
Alex.
Alex?
Yeah.
Alex. Okay. What artist was the first to tour with a Moog modular? This is the first artist to take a modular synthesizer on tour. Actually, first artist to perform live with a modular synthesizer. You, I teach you. No, very close. Blue.
Doors.
No. He's. You're right. Yeah. What is your name? Lucas?
Who was it?
Lucas. It's Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Okay. How many of you have actually looked at the lineup for Moogfest? Okay. How many of you guys are talking music though right now, how many of you have looked at the daytime? Okay. It's like 3 of you. Which Moogfest keynote speaker has a robot version of their wife? That's right. What's your name? Brian? Ryan. Ryan.
Kind of a cheat because that one's on a window in our office, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's about supporting. Yeah, you should get a t-shirt too. All right. Which Moogfest headliner also has a pilot's license? I don't know. This is so hard. Who came up with this?
Multiple choice, the answers are right there.
Is the answer? Oh, the answer is on that window. Please get this right. No, that's close. Okay, I'll give you a hint. This artist, this headliner is playing 3 shows at Moogfest, 3 different nights, playing 3 different albums. I see other hands going up. Come on. You need to Google this.
Blood orange?
No.
Damn.
Okay.
Gary Newman.
That's right.
Cars is airplane.
There you go. Gary Newman. What's your name?
Mark.
Mark. Mark. Rachel. All right. This one is also not that easy. Which Moogfest headlining artist album, here's the hint, it's called Liquid Swords, turned 20 years old. Jizza. That's so easy?
Yes, that's so easy.
What's your name? Paul. Paul? Paul. Okay, you guys have any other trivia? You should do one big trivia for like for VIP tickets. For 2 VIP tickets. Come on, Joe. Right now, Marissa's like, what? You're kidding me? It doesn't have to be Moogfest related.
How many Moogfests?
That's kind of boring. How many Moogfests? That's right. You can't think of anything? No? Nobody from Moog can think of a trivia question? He's supposed to be smart. What the heck? Oh, that's a good one. Oh, no. Okay, we'll do it like this. Who can name, no, that's good, but you might as well get specific with it. Who can name 3 local Durham artists playing Moogfest?
Trandle, Tune, and Made of Oak.
Yeah. That's it. What is your name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Jeremy got the big.
I don't.
Did y'all set this up? You set it up. All right. I don't know if we're doing anything else today.
Jam session. Well,
Jam session. Okay, if you guys want to play on the instruments, feel free to come up. I'm sure one of these fine fellows over here will teach you about the theremin. Thanks, you guys. It's a real honor for us to be here. We greatly appreciate all the hospitality that we've been shown here in Durham. You guys are very lucky to live here. This is an incredible city, and what you folks are doing in this town is enviable, so we're very happy to be here.